A lot of people confuse the center of gravity, the point of balance of a sword, with a pivot point, and that's not actually true. So this sword balances about here. So that's the center of gravity, right? This is not the pivot point. So if I accelerate that sword in order to get in order to bring the point forward in a straight line, remember earlier we said the shortest route between A and B is a straight line, and you can take a detour if you have trained a lot and you're a great athlete, but it will always be faster to move on the straight line. Okay, so training cannot beat geometry. So in order for this point to move forward in a straight line, if you think of this as a scale, you want the longest lever to catapult this forward. So the longest lever would be here. The longest convenient lever would be here, just below the pommel. So this is an interesting point for regarding the sword. So we want to see which point in the blade correlates to this particular spot here, which we are going to use to accelerate the sword. So think of a frisbee. So this would be the edge of the frisbee. We now want to find the center of the frisbee. So if I just move this, the sword will start to turn around one specific point in the blade. You can see that one point remains static. Yeah? So it's about here. So that's where this sword has its central pivot point. You can check it with your own swords. We're going to do that yes, exactly. So you have to be familiar. You have to be familiar with that particular point. If you train a lot, you will just simply feel where that point is. So when I'm striking a blow in 133 from second ward, just by moving my sword, I can feel that this is an effortless motion here, this scale motion. And so I know I'm turning around the pivot point. Anything else, striking around any point, say a point that is closer to the head, like so, will result in bringing the point forward in an arc. Yeah? This is not the fastest connection to where I want to get. I want to get here. Okay, so I want to strike to a position where the sword is guarding me, where I'm safe. The point is higher than my head, so I have blocked the route. If there's no contact at all, no problem, because I will simply extend into a thrust. I don't even have to take a step to win that much more distance. So my strike is only designed to gain the space, to gain the center, and to get there I have to take the shortest route, and that's always a straight line. So I have to turn my sword in such a fashion that it rotates around this particular pivot point, because I don't want to be the strong man who uses a lot of effort to turn a frisbee around any point, say for the center. I want to be the clever man who turns his frisbee, or in this case the sword, around this central pivot point, which makes the blade, the point, fly forward effortlessly in a straight line. Okay, and so this blow here is simply just using a longer path. So you have more acceleration that you can bring, or a longer acceleration path to bring the point forward. It almost looks like I'm holding a spear here. So if you picture a spear, and I want to throw a spear, so it looks something like that. Yeah. And what happens next is I start throwing that spear. Yeah. And then I'm going to pull down the pommel in an arc. And you can see from the side that this makes the sword turn, and now the point, as I let it fly, the point moves forward in a straight line. As soon as the blade is in this position, I cannot accelerate it anymore. The acceleration here works like with a catapult. So as long as the catapult is turned down around the joint, the stone or whatever is supposed to be catapulted forward is being levered forward. As soon as we have reached this position, There's no way we can give it any more velocity going forward. So this particular point, this one, has done its job, because that lever we cannot use anymore. So at that point, a shift in the hand takes place. So I go down here, and here the blade in space would start flying like a frisbee, keep on rotating around its center forever. Yeah, if we did that in space. Well, we are not in space, and we don't want our sword to fly like so. We want our sword to move in such a fashion that the point goes forward in a straight line, and the sword covers us. Yeah. So there's a cover. That means our hand is actually moving in such a fashion that the arm is crossed in front of the body. See that? This is why when we extend into a thrust, even without stepping, we gain a lot more reach. Because here we can still bring the hand up to shoulder level, gaining reach. We have maximum reach at shoulder level. So from here, extending means we get extra reach. This is why you can strike a blow and without a step get additional reach. There's even more reach you can get if you go into the extreme hinge and press up the rear heel. Pressing up the rear heel, like you see in 133, gives you even more reach. That gives you like so much more reach. But what is interesting for us is the pivot points at the moment. So as I'm in this position, this down here is just stabilizing the sword in space. I'm actually clamping it with the top 3 fingers at that point. So it's basically the thumb and the index finger, and then I have the middle finger to support the sword a little. I could actually hold it with 2 fingers here, with the pommel resting in the heel of the hand, so I could hold it like so, but that's not as efficient as just resting my fingers here. Right? But it's these 2 fingers that are most eminent. Now, these 2 fingers mean that I'm now manipulating the sword at that point here, right? Just above the crossguard. So the sword is still on its way. See? Here, that's where the change takes place. Look, here the pinky presses down the pommel, the hand moves down, the point moves forward, and as you can see here, that's where the shift takes place. As the sword flies forward on its frisbee path, on its rotating path, I just grip it anew. I'm now in an elongated grip, like with many tools, like with a file, or like with cutting a slice of bread, or whatever. So there are many tools like that. It's also like a lot of pistols, and that means that here, before I keep extending into the thrust, the sword will turn around a different spot, because now I'm manipulating that, no longer this point. So that means now I have a different center of rotation. Yeah. So I have a different frisbee in a sense. You understand? So now the frisbee edge would be here, and the pivot point would be down there, as opposed to this pivot point, which is much higher. So these 2 pivot points are important when I strike a blow and extend into a thrust, or when I strike a blow and extend into a winding action or whatever. Yeah? As soon as I extend into any kind of long point action, the sword from here will turn around the outer pivot point. So there's a lot of physics going on in one simple blow, and you have to understand it, even if you cannot master it this weekend, because if you understand it, you will be able to train it, and with this understanding, teach yourself. So that's one part of these seminars. I want to give you understanding, because I cannot supply you with the skills in a week.